How are you doing? This is David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave. And let's talk about how to play gun stocks using stop options. And this is going to be something that the mainstream's not going to tell you. Now, everybody pretty much has been aware over the past, I want to say maybe week and a half, 2 weeks. We've had a lot of tragedies based around shootings. However, I want you to understand something. What I'm going to teach you in this particular, or attempt to get you to understand in this particular video, is the concept of situational trading. And in reality, all trading is based around situations, right? All of it is. And most people don't understand that, and therefore they're not able to have the level of success that they desire. That's on my own opinion. Also, most people they don't have the understanding of how to see the opportunity in the market. They just react to what somebody else is feeding them. And that can be detrimental to you as a trader. And what I really want to help people get, and I'm going to do a video on this maybe this week, but maybe next week, is how to see through a situation like a laser beam, as opposed to getting distracted with everything on the outside. Like, don't get caught in the hot button issues. Don't get caught into the people where they're just here to entertain you or distract you from what's really going on. What I want you to understand is this. You can go look this up. Over the past, I want to say maybe now, almost over a decade, when Obama, I think, first got elected, I want to say maybe in 2008. Normally, when a Democrat goes into the presidency, or let's say the Democrats hold the presidential office, you normally are going to see a run on gun stocks. And it's because the gun lobby and the gun advertisers will advertise to their audience that the president is going to create legislation against guns. And that works. We're not going to go into why it works because I don't want to get into a political discussion. But it actually works. It works to agitate that audience, to make them fearful and to make them act to go purchase guns. Therefore, anytime you see a Democrat go into office, I look for movement on gun stocks, because I know the Democrats are going to hot button any kind of gun tragedy to their core audience who really doesn't like guns like that. Right? And as a result, it's going to create a reaction, because part of politics is not just marketing to your group, but it's giving the other group a reason to not like you. And then it goes the same way, vice versa. So even if you're in the political space and somebody that you doesn't like creates a narrative, you use their narrative to get your team to rally even more around you, right? That's just, it's the political game. I don't care what they do. My goal is to see straight through it like a laser beam and to decide whether or not it's going to create an opportunity for me and my group to better make some money, because they're doing things to benefit their group. Everybody's doing something to benefit their group. It doesn't benefit my group for me to just let these people just trigger me or hot button me or entertain me. I'm not entertained by what they do. It has very little to zero entertainment value to me. I would rather go watch the game, right? So what we're going to get over the next week and a half is a lot of the political entertainers on both sides use this issue as a form of political entertainment, because they're entertainers. If they don't entertain, they don't have a lot of value to the platforms that they're on, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Fox News, whether it's MSNBC, Daily Wire. If they don't entertain, they hold very little value to the platform, right? So because I understand that, I don't engage that, because I know they're only here to entertain them. And I would rather get my entertainment by like watching Golden State and Dallas, or Miami and Beantown, or, you know, hopefully Miami and Golden State, or whichever way it goes, as long as Miami's in the finals. That's what I would rather get my entertainment from. Not watching people craft these political narratives that I can see straight through the narrative, right? I can see exactly straight through the narrative. So that's what I want to try to help people get a better understanding of. And if you don't want to do that, that's cool. You can go do whatever you're doing. However, it doesn't benefit my group to get caught up in this, right? And so one thing, because I understand, is that when normally Democrats come into office, there's going to be a run on gun stocks, because there's going to be something that's going to happen, because we have these type of mass shootings all the time. I mean, literally they've been happening since Columbine, which was in the early 2000s. I think it was exactly on 2000. So we're talking about over 20 years ago, and they just haven't stopped. And really they were happening before then. It's just because the internet wasn't what it is now, it was harder for these news to travel. But these type of scenarios have been going on for a very long time. And that's something that a lot of people really don't want to talk about. But, it is what it is. However, we want to look at, because of what happened yesterday, so today is May 25th, 2022, I immediately knew to start looking at gun stocks, right? To immediately start, because we've gotten two situations like this in a relatively short amount of time. So the first thing I started looking at was Smith & Wesson, right? Started looking at Smith & Wesson. Now, if you're looking at this particular chart and you're seeing on Yahoo, you're seeing all the other gun and outdoor brands. And because these outdoor brands also sell firearms and ammunition, there's normally also going to be a run on them also. So there's going to be a lot of correlation, or what we call sympathy plays in the market based around these particular situations. Now, Ruger trades at a much higher price point, but it's not having the same movement. This is at up 10%. American Outdoor Brands is up 8%. Sportsman Warehouse is up 8%. And then we're seeing Smith & Wesson Brands is up 9.76%. Right? Now, first, let's go ahead and look at their chart. No, first, my bad. Let's look at their volume. So right now, to time is 11:24 Eastern Standard. We're already at 1.4, and the average volume is around 900,000. So we're pretty much we're well over their daily volume before 12 o'clock, before the second session. Or maybe we're right in the second session. Looking at your chart, what I'm noticing is, and we'll go ahead and just draw this out really quickly. Let me go to a horizontal line. Let me get some colors. Yeah, let's go to the yellow. Let me go to a bigger line. We'll go to that. Seeing resistance right here at around, like I said, it's 18. And then also here at around, let's say almost a $17 mark, right? So those are what I'm seeing on my daily resistance, right? So let's go to the 1 year. Let me zoom back in, and let's go to like our resistance on the daily candles. Is it around that $18 mark? Got an 1857, 1870, and then also around this $17, which is where I'm seeing some resistance on the daily. We could also maybe put one here too around the 1776. But what we're seeing is a lot of resistance around the $17. And then we're also seeing a lot of resistance around like maybe the 1850. And we want to understand that when we start looking at options, because historically on the daily, especially since December, that's where they face resistance. And there was a big gap down here for whatever reason, right? I don't know. We would have to research this. Now, because we understand gaps, there's also a gap here. It could look to reclaim these gaps. So we're almost here at this gap. It reclaims some of it here, but not all the way. And then also it has never really reclaimed this gap between the 2291 and let's say the 1835, right? So it may look to reclaim this gap behind this particular event. And therefore, if the administration starts really pushing this narrative over, gun control or gun policy or yada, 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 it could create a pushback to where now the gun advertisers, the gun manufacturers, and the political entertainers, because that's what their audience wants to hear, creates a narrative that, okay, well, they're going to come take your guns, even though that's not factual. It doesn't mean anything because it's going to work. Then as a result, people are going to get fearful, and then they're going to look to purchase more guns. Then there's going to be a perception in the market that because people are going to purchase more guns, these particular stocks are going to be more valuable because their revenues are going to start to go up, right? And so that's kind of how we're going to create this chain. And when I'm looking at the options chain, right? So, and I was looking at this last night. We're seeing June 17 calls, starting to build up a lot of open interest, right? These are up a lot. We're starting to build up a lot of open interest. And this is something why I tell people is that contracts are not expensive. You just have to be willing to do the research. These contracts, the ask is at 35 cents, which is $35, right? Contracts are not expensive. You just got to be willing to do the research. Most people don't want to do the research. They want it to be fed to them, right? Which creates a bad scenario, because what happens when that doesn't work anymore? So these contracts are relatively inexpensive, in my opinion. They could be expensive to somebody else. Implied volatility has gone up because of these particular situations. That's the June 17th. Now we got the June 15th calls. Still, this volume is going to probably be open interest by the end of the day. We got 6,000 open interest on the $15, which are in the monies right now. Let's go to the September 16th. We got 900 open interest at the 500. We see open interest building up here. And then let's also go to the December 16th. So that's pretty much where we're starting to lose a lot of our open interest. All right. Now we got the 1,000s going up on the 20. We got the 25s at the 888, 577, and then the 713 at the $15. That's for January 2023. And that's pretty much going to be it from my perception of open interest. So then what I would do is look through all of these tickers to try to figure out, well, maybe if I don't like Smith & Wesson, what do I like? Because one of the things that you got to watch out with this one is that these strikes jump up like every $3 or $2.50s. So you got the 15 and the 1750. So now looking at their open interest, we got the 15 that's in the money. We got the 1750 that's out of the money. And then what we see is that, let's go back here, their resistance is around, right, that $17 mark. Therefore, they could get closer to the 17 and start dealing with historical resistance on the daily. Therefore, that's something that you may want to watch out for as a trader. You know, there's resistances around the $17 mark. It's also around the $18.50 mark. However, their strikes are out $17.50, $20, $22.50. So, you know, for this $20 strike to be at the money or in the money, we would need them to push past those resistance points. And that may be something. Do we have enough frenzy in the market and enough enthusiasm in the market around this particular issue to push it past those resistance points? Because I don't care what people are saying on TV. I need people to have a perception of the stock. And I need people going out into the market and buying more guns because they're fearful. Even though the law states they can't, you know, it's a whole different scenario. People don't really understand the Second Amendment. They don't really understand the biggest proponent of gun control is law enforcement. But they can't say that because their audience backs the blue until the blue does something they don't like. Then it's a different story, but they can't say that. So I don't waste my time trying to educate, barbarians. I just not going to do it. It's not profitable, right? I'm here to educate the people that want to be educated. And therefore, if you can understand how to utilize these particular scenarios, if you don't have a moral or a value objection to them, because you understand how the crowd sees these scenarios. And this just happens over and over again. When Obama got elected, there was a big run on guns because everybody thought, you know, he's going to create this legislation against guns. It really didn't happen. But the gun manufacturers know that they can create that kind of marketing to drive more revenue into their businesses based on people's perception of what this guy's going to do. So they just hot button people to drive more sales, and it works. And there's nothing wrong with that because it wasn't like they were forced to buy it. They chose to buy it, right? They chose to. And marketing, it works. That's why people keep marketing. And that's what you want to kind of understand. So unfortunately, we probably will continue to have these type of tragedies. It's kind of the way America's kind of set up. And as a result, people are going to leverage these tragedies to try to reinforce their situation. A lot of times from a political standpoint or from an entertainment standpoint. These situations have always gone on inside the United States. It just hasn't been recorded. You know, I'm from Florida. You had the Rosewood Massacre. You had the Ocoee Massacre. I mean, nobody came out after that and said we need to do gun control. So, I mean, they can't. Once you really understand how this thing really works, you just know that, you know, it's people trying to keep their little position, and they understand how to push people's buttons to get what they want to get out of them. And it has very little to do with telling people the truth, right? And so therefore, I'm not interested in trying to tell people the truth that don't want to know the truth. I'm just only interested in trying to get people that want to get an understanding and are willing to do the work and are willing to make the sacrifices and to put them in a position to kind of understand how to navigate these situations successfully. Because you can argue about this over the next 3 years, but if you don't change your economic situation, you're going to be in the exact same situation. And one day I want to go get a camera and a microphone and go to like Skid Rows and go to tent cities and ask them people like, what do they think about like politics? And what I think you'll hear is like, who cares? I'm living on Skid Row. So it's almost a luxury in this particular environment to be worried about this type of stuff and to be arguing on social media. And I think people don't realize that. And so they stay stuck economically without realizing that you have the luxury to go back and forth about this type of stuff. So David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, if you got any questions, but I want to encourage you to be willing to do the research around these tickers and understand again is that contracts are not expensive. You just have to be able to do the work to find them. I get people that tell me about tickers all the time. I mean, I know somebody told me about tickers. I had never heard of these tickers, but they done the research. And also, trading is all situational. These gun plays are going to always be here. They just will because of the way this country's set up and the stuff that goes on inside this country. Therefore, if you know that these plays are going to be an opportunity for you, all you got to do is just sit back and wait on it. It's going to come to you. Why? Because of the way this country's set up. This country is set up a specific way. It always has been and always will be, right? Therefore, because it's set up a specific way, certain things are going to happen. And once you start to really understand that, and you understand how the market works as a result of that, you can put yourself in a position to be profitable. If you get caught in the frenzy of it, right, it can make it to where you never see it because you're caught up in it, as opposed to knowing it's going to take place and you're able to sit outside of it and just observe it. David W. Williams, also known as Diamond Dave, talk to you later.